Now, it was only a few weeks ago, in fact, 2, I think, that I reviewed this 2021 Chevrolet Trailblazer's identical twin, or nearly, the Buick Encore GX. And in no uncertain terms, I really enjoyed the vehicle. So it won't come as a surprise when I tell you that I'm enjoying this one even more, in fact. One of the main reasons, styling. Definitely you can see a lot of Blazer in it, and if I might add, the fact that it's called the Trailblazer is a little bit wrong, but you know what, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is, here it is, and I like it. So base price for a Trailblazer in the US, $19,995 for an L front wheel drive. In Canada, the LS, so there you go, that kind of partially explains the price difference. Front wheel drive is $23,798. There's an LT trim, there's an RS trim, which is cool, but this one right here is my favorite. The Active, yes. So base price in the US for the Active, $26,495, but to that you have to add all-wheel drive to compare with the all-wheel drive included in the Canadian price, $30,498 for this SUV. Now, I mean, all things considered, that is, I mean, for that price, you get almost exactly what you see here. The only difference is this gorgeous Zeus Brown, which is like a $495 option. But everything else is all part of the Active package. Speaking of which, it does include these very cool, I think you see it, black chrome trim, these unique 17-inch wheels, which are normally equipped with quote-unquote all-terrain tires. But the winter is coming, so the tester already has its winter rubber on. Always a good thing. Other features, well, there's a 7-inch screen on the inside, LED fog lights, active safety features, a few of them that you don't get in the lower trims, such as rear park assist, lane change alert, leatherettes. I think I touched on it, styling. This thing looks absolutely great. My tester, however, does have a few extra features. It's got the technology package. It has the sun and lift gate package, which is fairly self-explanatory. You'll see in a moment. And the convenience package, which will upgrade, among other things, the interior screen to an 8-inch unit. Anyhow, let's do the usual tour. Okay, so yeah, sun and lift gate means that. Maybe it's overkill in a small SUV like that, but hey, why not? It's not that expensive a package. That opens up to 25 and change cubic feet of trunk space, or just over 700 liters, which I didn't see it in the Encore either. And despite the fact that the load floor does go down a notch, I think you can see it right there. But because there's a box in here, I'm wasting time. Anyhow, I can fix that after. Anyhow, that's not that big. That data is a little bit out there. But still, it's a decent trunk. Very usable, good width, easy load height. This week I'm using my Trailblazer as the family mobility vehicle. And look, it's a small SUV, as you can see from the exterior dimensions. But look, the kids have, well, first of all, they can see fairly easily out the window, so that's a good thing. There is no room between the two seats, maybe for a bag or something like that. But otherwise, there you go. I mean, it works for a family of 4. In my case, 2 small children. Now, here we go. Fit and finish, in the front at least, it's quite nice. Look at the little details there, the different materials. The bronze trim on the inside looks great. You don't have, we'll just go back there again. Not quite the same in the rear, but hey, tough luck if you sit in the back. This is also one of the features included in the option packages. Well, let's just step inside. All right, so we'll start it up. Look, it's just like the Encore GX with very clear gauges, lovely display right there. There's the updated, or upgraded I should say, 8-inch display, which has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. The tester here also has a wireless charging station. Got your USB ports as you would expect. It also has wireless Apple CarPlay, which is amazing. Visibility, while I'm here, I guess, very good. You can actually see there's enough of an opening there, despite the fairly large base. to do that, 90-degree turn to the left without hitting anything or anyone. Forward visibility. I mean, like the Buick, you feel like you're driving a much bigger vehicle because the dashboard, and I drive very close to the steering wheel. The dashboard, or the base of the windshield, I should say, is very far away. So it gives you a very airy feeling in the cabin, especially up front. Storage is brilliant. Good door bins. Love this middle pocket. It's fantastic. I think I just showed you this. This is deep. Good sized cup holders. This is perfect for whatnots. Am I going to get this the first time yet? See, another storage. And this bin is fairly deep. Here's some of the important buttons, I suppose. There's your all-wheel drive, which has to be manually activated. I'll try not to talk about that again. Drive mode. And essentially that's it. One last look at the outside, because it's such a cool looking little SUV, before we go out there and once again sample that turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. It kind of looks weird. Even for me right here, the amount, you can't even see the top of my fingers. The amount of headroom, despite the fact that it's got the huge panoramic sunroof, it almost looks comical as far as I can see it. But that again, kind of relates to what I was saying about this thing feeling like you're driving a larger vehicle, or you sit in it as though it was a much larger vehicle. Anyhow, you can see it. There it is. I'm not faking it. There are no tricks or filters or anything on there. I do look this way. Now, something else that makes the Active slightly different is its, according to GM specs, off-road tuned suspension. The dampers are tuned differently. I can't tell you much more than that. And there's also in there somewhere in the specs indicated that this has a little bit more ground clearance. Related to the suspension, I don't know. Related to the fact that normally this thing has slightly larger tires, probably. GM also says it has extra shielding, not skid plates, shielding on the underbody, so maybe you can have a little bit of fun, obviously as long as you remember to press the all-wheel drive button. To that, as far as all-wheel drive is concerned, I mean, once it's activated, it's on. It's fully on all the time. Wheel spin is next to impossible. Where I actually took pictures of this thing, there was a lot of dirt on the ground and a little bit of gravel, and a little bit of dust got kicked up, but it works well, sadly, or not really sadly. The snow's not here yet, so I can't really evaluate that, but on the dry or even a wet surface, it responds quite, in fact, it doesn't respond, it's just on. Speaking of responding, well, like the Encore GX, this 1.3 liter 3-cylinder engine, I was going to say 4-cylinder because the 3-cylinder is still an oddity today, produces 155 horsepower and 174 pound-feet of torque as of 1600 RPM. So that means, like the Encore GX, when you get on it, it's surprisingly peppy. I mean, that's the best way to describe it, I think. Also associated with this 9-speed automatic transmission, I mean, fuel economy is okay. The whole story about GM giving you numbers, but they won't specify or won't disclose whether or not it's done with the all-wheel drive on or off. That means 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers is probably what you're going to get, maybe closer to 9, which means, I don't know, somewhere between 27 and 28 miles per gallon, which is pretty good, all things considered. About the 9-speed automatic transmission, it shifts beautifully, except when you want to go from drive to reverse. It was the same thing on the Buick, but I didn't say anything about that because I figured maybe, it just happened that once on that one unit, but this Trailblazer is identical. You can count to 3 or maybe even 4 before it shifts into reverse, which is kind of annoying. On occasion, you get used to it, just have to be patient. What else can I tell you? I mean, like the Encore GX, brakes, steering feel just fine, perfectly adapted to what this thing is. Now, as far as the chassis is concerned, and it was one of the things that impressed me the most about the Buick, still applies here. It's the suspension, the dampers. Even though this is off-road tuned, it's compliant, it's comfortable. It's just typical McPherson setup in the front. In the back, you got the Watts link, kind of deal. All that to say is that it handles nicely. It is fairly comfortable and refined, despite the 3-cylinder engine, which, like in the Buick, feels like it's kind of ensconced in a pile of cotton or something like that, because it is, for a 3-cylinder, extremely docile, very quiet. In fact, it is quieter than some 4-cylinder engines from some rivals, and I will mention too the RAV4's 2.5 and the Mazda the CX-5's 2.5, which is surprising to say the least. In the segment, well, this is kind of a weird crossover segment where you'll get, because you can include the Encore GX, which is premium-ish. You got Nissan Qashqai, possibly the Kicks, a Honda HR-V, Mazda CX-30, all of those things that kind of all roll into each other. Excuse me. The CX-30 is probably the most refined, luxurious, smooth one of them all. And I mean, there are a few other members in the segment. Like I mentioned the Kicks, but it's only available front-wheel drive. This does have all-wheel drive. It's very spacious. It's loaded. I mean, the only thing missing in this one is the heated steering wheel. And the styling. It looks far better than an HR-V. I mean, close to maybe the Encore GX is like the Lexus UX, but again, styling. UX. Woo. Yeah, all that to say is that these little GM SUVs are fun, attractive, affordable, reasonably capable. I mean, there are no tow ratings for this. But yeah, this is 2 in a row, man. I really enjoy this little SUV, and it would fit my life, or almost.